Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Alyssa Gutendorf and I'm on Brian's marketing team. To my left, the publisher of over 80 best-selling books who has spoken to millions of people in over 80 countries and has helped coach some of the most influential people of our time, Mr. Brian Tracy. Hello, Brian.
Hello, everyone.
Today, Brian and I will be discussing some of the most important tips to take your time management skills to the next level. But before we get into that, I want to let everyone know to keep an eye out for a special offer from Brian at the end of this training. That's all I'm allowed to tell you right now, but trust me, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So, without further ado, let's get into why everyone is here today and learn about time management from the master himself, Mr. Brian Tracy.
Thank you, Elisa.
So, Brian, in broad strokes, what does it mean to manage your time?
Well, the most important definition of time management is actually life management, is actually personal management, is actually management of yourself. And when I started in this subject many years ago, I was asked to produce a program on it. I thought time management was kind of like a peripheral subject, like the stars that go around the sun. And then I realized as I studied that time management is the core skill of life, is that if you are not good at time management, nothing is possible for you. But if you are good at time management, everything is possible for you. So successful people throughout the ages who've studied and researched have found that they're very intensely result-oriented. They think all the time about how to use their time better and more efficiently.
Great, thanks, Brian. So for people that are new to the concept, what does proper time management generally look like compared to maybe what people are, and probably what they're doing right now?
Well, the most important skill for success in life is called long-time perspective. And that's where you think long-term rather than short-term. So what you do is you have to have very clear goals and objectives that you want to achieve in the long term. And then you break them all the way down to today. And then you think short-term. And short-term is what are the specific things I can do this minute to help me to achieve my most important goals in the long term. And time management starts off with goal setting, and then setting priorities, and writing down every step, and then organizing the steps in sequence. What step comes first, what step comes second, and then taking the first step. And then disciplining yourself to do only those things that are moving you toward your most important goals all day long.
Think about what you want most of the time, right, Brian? All
Yes.
the time. So let's say someone only has 1 hour in their day where they can be as productive as possible. Where should they start?
Well, they should start by reorganizing their entire lives, because the most successful people are productive all day long. Now, the biggest distractions from being productive are electronic distractions and people distractions. That's where the person is constantly checking their email or answering their phone or their messages, and then constantly talking to other people 50% of the time about things that have nothing to do with business. If you only have 1 hour of the day to be productive, then your life is completely out of control. Yeah, your whole day should be productive from the first thing in the morning throughout the entire day. And what this requires, according to my research and everybody else's, is that you plan every day in advance the night before. You organize your activities by priority, and you start with the most important thing that you can do, and you work at it single-mindedly until it's complete. Now, let us say you've been in meetings and calls and everything all day long, and you only have 1 hour. Well, one of the very best ways is to turn everything off, is to turn off your computer and your phone so you have complete silence, and then settle down and focus single-mindedly on the one task that's more important to you than anything else at this moment. This really is the essence of life management, is what we call to organize the sequence of events. What you do first, what you do second, and what you do not at all. And then to start on the number one task, and then to complete that task before you do anything else.
Thanks, Brian. As we all know, you've studied the laws and the science of time management for years and years. Can you talk a little bit about some of the laws and the rules that people must follow to be able to control their time?
Well, the first rule, of course, you've heard of is the 80-20 rule, that 20% of the things you do account for 80% of your results. And very often it's the 10-90 rule. Sometimes if you have a list of 10 things to do, one item on that list is worth more than all the others. But here's the problem, is we always have a tendency to do what is fun and easy rather than what is important. We get distracted by little tasks. So one of the great rules is never give in to the temptation to clear up small things first. Because if you start on small things are like rabbits and they multiply throughout the day. And if you start on small things, you'll never get to your major task. So one of the greatest disciplines, and what has made my books the best-selling books in the world, is this whole idea of focus. Now, I will tell you the key to great success in life, and it is task completion. It is starting and completing important tasks. That's everything. Whether it's an important paper at university, or wrapping up a complete sale so the transaction is complete and the paperwork is done, or writing a report or giving a presentation, nobody gets any credit for working on the job. Like a horse pulling a wheel around in a circle, is all the credit goes to people who start and complete their tasks. Well, if this is the case, then you have to be crystal clear about what is the most important task you can complete. Because here's another discovery. Task completion is a source of energy, enthusiasm, and self-esteem. When you complete a task, you feel like a winner. And if you have a list of 10 tasks, if you complete a low-level task, you get a little bit of this feeling. It's a release of endorphins, which are a chemical in your brain that makes you feel happy. But if you complete a really important task, you get a rush of endorphins. You feel happy, you feel exhilarated, your self-esteem goes up, and you feel motivated to do more things. That's why one of the greatest of all success principles is to start and complete a task first thing in the morning. And it's like starting up an engine, that for the rest of the day you are racing to do important things. Now, another technique which we teach that many people tell me changes their lives is called the ABCDE method. And what it says is, first of all, you make a list of everything that you have to do for the coming day or even the week, but just let's say for the day. You make a list of those things, and then you consider the consequences of doing or not doing each of those activities. An A activity, you put an A next to each item on the list that has big potential consequences. If you do this or don't do it, it's going to make a big difference. It's going to either cost or gain a lot of money. It's going to make your boss happy or angry. It's really important. So what are your A tasks, the one that have serious consequences for completion or non-completion? And if you find that you have 3 A tasks on your list, then you go back and you say, what is my A1 task? The most important of all. What is my A2 task? The second most. What is my A3 task? The third most important. And then you begin on A1 and work on A1. Now the letter B in the ABCDE method stands for tasks that you should do. There are mild consequences for doing them or not doing. Returning an email or a telephone call or responding to a request and so on. But they're not as important and they don't have as big a consequences as A tasks. Now here's the rule. Discipline yourself never to do a B task when you have an A task left undone. Now a C task is something that's nice to do. It's something that is enjoyable, but it has no consequences at all. Talking to your friend, going for lunch, drinking coffee, checking your email, looking at the spam. It's nice to do, but it doesn't matter if you ever do it at all. I tell some people, I said, you could become the finest coffee drinker at work in the history of the world, and it will have zero effect on your future. Now the D in the ABCDE method means delegate. And the rule is delegate everything that you possibly can to someone else who can do it at a lower level of pay than you are. One of the popular sayings is, that's below my pay grade. Sometimes people say it's above my pay grade. But if somebody asks you, or you think of doing a task that someone else can do at a lower rate of pay than you, then discipline yourself not to do it. And finally, E stands for eliminate. And the rule is, the only way you can get control of your time is by stopping doing certain things. So every day you should start off with a to-do list organized by priority, and then you should have a not-to-do list. The things that you're just not going to do anymore because they consume so much time and they have zero effect on your life. The number one reason why people are failing today is because they're doing things of low value or no value too much of the time. Now the last rule, and this rule is one of the best things I've ever discovered in time management, is called the law of 3. Now, the law of three says that if you make a list of everything that you have to do in a week or a month, and then you go over the list and review it, you'll find there's only 3 activities or tasks that you do that account for 90% of your contribution to your business, to your life, and 90% of your income. And everything else falls in the lower 10%. So how do you determine your big 3? Number 1, you ask, if I could only do one thing all day long, which one activity would contribute the most value to my business, to my company, to my career? And you put a circle around that. Then you ask the second question. You say, if I could only do 2 things all day long, what would be the second most important thing I could do? And then the third question is, if you could only do 3 things all day long, what would be number 3? And when you look at this, and I've taken more than 1,000 of my coaching clients and business owner clients and top executives through this exercise, and they are all astonished. Here's a remarkable thing, many of them get the answers wrong. So one of the things I say is, it's just because you think this is your answer, check it with the people around you. Ask your coworkers and friends, ask your colleagues, ask your spouse, and you'll often find that what you think is the most important use of your time is not your job at all. It's somebody else's job, or it's a low level of activity. So then here's the key rule, is from now on, only do those 3 things all day long. And then continually look for ways to improve. Read books, take courses, go to seminars, upgrade your skills, get better and better at your 3 most important tasks. And anybody who does that out of my coaching program doubles their productivity and doubles their income within 30 days, sometimes within 1 or 2 days. So give it a try.
Great information. Thanks, Brian. So for people that are wondering right now, if I could do something right now to take your advice to heart, what are some actionable steps that people can take at this moment as they're watching to improve their time management and productivity?
Well, there was a wonderful book written some years ago called Competing for the Future. And in here they talk about long-term goal setting. So what you do is you say, if I could wave a magic wand and accomplish any goal in my work life, which one goal would be the most important? Which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on your life? Now, only 3% of adults know what this is, because only 3% of adults have ever written down their goals and then reviewed the goals and thought through, what's my major definite purpose? My biggest, what they call a BHOG, big, hairy, audacious goal. And once you know that, what this book said is that long-term vision dramatically improves short-term focus, short-term decision-making. Because if you know what you want to do in the long term, most important goal, then the way you manage your time is you say every single day, is this consistent with achieving my most important goal? Then what you do is you make a list of everything that you have to do. And list makers are the most productive people in our world. Because making a list, and not, I don't use type lists. Type lists are not as effective as a written list. They did a study and they interviewed 50 presidents of Inc. 500 of the fastest growing companies in America. Some of these companies had grown 200 and 300 times in 3 years. And they asked them, what is your favorite time management tool, your favorite app, your favorite system? And 49 out of the 50 held up a yellow pad. And I worked, one of my clients was worth $800 million, and he built 200 businesses from scratch. And I asked him his favorite time management system, and it was always a pad of paper where he started every day, and he wrote down everything he had to do. Or you write down a goal. You write down every step you'll have to take to achieve the goal, and then organize those steps by sequence. What comes first, what comes second. So if you want to accomplish extraordinary things, ask, for instance in your business, what's the most important task that you could achieve in your business that would have the greatest positive impact on your career? And you write it down. And then you write down, what are all the things that I could do to achieve this task? And then you select the most important thing that you could do, and you do it right now. You start immediately. You don't talk to people. If people say, have you got a minute? Yes, but not right now. Let's talk after work. Let's talk on the weekend. Let's talk some other time. But right now, I've got to get back to work. I've got to get this job done. Almost like the building is on fire and you've got to get this job done before the fire reaches your office.
Brian, do you have any advice for people who they just feel like the time slips by and they know they're procrastinating, but they need to hear some maybe helpful advice from you?
Well, I have written entire books and programs on overcoming procrastination. My favorite 3 words in life management are clarity, focus, and concentration. Now, clarity means that you become absolutely clear about what you want to accomplish and what the most important steps you have to take, most important tasks are to accomplish it. The number one reason why people are unfocused is because they're unclear about their most important task. So it's not that you don't have the ability, it's just that many of you are trying to do too many little things at once. As I said earlier, the greatest destroyer of all hopes and dreams and careers today is distraction. Distraction is killing people. People leave their computer on, leave their phone on, and every time there's a bing or a bip, these people jump like rabbits and they dart to their email or to their telephone, and it takes an average of 17 minutes to get back to your work after you've been distracted by an electronic interruption. So more and more, including the best studies at Harvard, more and more, the great rule is leave things off. Leave them off. There's nothing so important that cannot wait for a while. I've had experiences where I have flown overseas, or I've been in countries where there was no email communication for days. And you know what? The world continued to turn. Life went on. There was no big problem. There's nothing that can't be taken care of. People have this idea that, oh my, if I don't take care of this, and right now, the whole world will fall apart. No. You know what more and more people do today is they have an automatic message, and they say, thank you for your email. I check my email twice a day at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. If you sent me an email between those times, and it's an emergency, phone this number. Otherwise, I'll get back to you when I get back to my email. And then they just turn it off. And the same thing with your phone. So the rule is leave things off, and if they're on, turn things off, and then focus on just doing one thing at a time. Now, they talk about techniques. Well, the simplest of all technique is to say, all right, here's my big task, which is overwhelming, so I'm going to work on it for 5 minutes. That's all. I'm not going to try to do the whole thing. I'll make a list of everything I have to do, and I'll just do one step on the list. Just get started. Just get the engine going. And when you complete one task, you get a little jolt of endorphin. It makes you happy, and it motivates you to do step 2 and step 3, and pretty soon you're on your way and rolling through the job.
Now, there are people out there, Brian, who would argue that some people are just inherently better at managing their time than others. Can good time management skills truly be learned?
Well, the answer is absolutely yes. Every single person has skills that they have learned. Everybody can drive a car. You can use a keyboard. You can use sophisticated software. You can ride a bicycle. You can do an enormous number of things that you never could do before. The only requirement is motivation. If you make a decision that, by gum, I am going to become an excellent time manager. I've learned in life that there's before a decision and after a decision. This is what your life is before you make these decisions. This is what your life is afterwards. And I see this so many times where extraordinary people were living ordinary lives, and they finally made a decision to live a great life. So make a decision to be a good time manager. Now the point is this: because you're motivated, because you want to, because it's important for you to be a good time manager. You just need to make a decision that you are going to, and the more you practice planning each day, selecting priorities, starting on your most important task, staying with the task till it's complete, the more you practice it, the more it becomes automatic and easy. Pretty soon you get up in the morning and it's so much of a habit that you cannot not manage your time well. And sometimes you can achieve that very quickly.
Brian, do you have any exercises that you recommend for people who need help figuring out their greater life priorities in order to tackle those subsequent tasks to address those?
Well, this is a great question, and I've developed a system for dealing with this, and I use it with corporations. For example, I do strategic planning for companies, including multi-billion-dollar companies, where I'll sit all the senior executives down in a room for 3 days, and I'll say, imagine that we have a magic wand, and we can wave a magic wand and make this company perfect sometime in the future. If this company was perfect, what would people say about this company? What would they write in a report or story about this company? And I call this process idealization. Is imagine that you have a magic wand and you could wave it over your life and whatever you decided would come true sometime in the future. So I say that there's 4 real critical areas in terms of life priorities. The first has to do with your business and your career and your income. So imagine you could wave a magic wand and 3 to 5 years from now, you're doing exactly the right work for you, with exactly the right people, in the right situation, and you're earning the exact amount of money that you want to earn. Then come back to the present and say, what would I have to do differently to achieve that goal 3 to 5 years from now? And what would be the first step that I would have to take to begin moving toward that? Remember I said that clear future vision dramatically improves current decision making. The second area has to do with your relationships and your family. Is ask yourself, if my relationship and family life were perfect, sometime in the future, what would it look like and how would it be different from today? Where would you be living? What would be your lifestyle? Who would you be with? Who would you no longer be with? What would you do? How would you spend your time? And just imagine that you have no limitations. Imagine that you have all the time and all the money and all the friends and all the contacts and all the abilities and all the skills that you'd ever need to accomplish anything that you want. And just free your mind to play with the subject. And I worked with people who said, geez, if my life was perfect, I'd have a new car, I'd live in a big house on the hill, I'd take my family to Europe and Asia on vacations, my kids would be in private schools, and you know what, 3 to 5 years later, their whole life is transformed and it all comes true. Now, the third area has to do with your physical health and fitness. If your physical health and fitness was perfect, how would you look? How would you feel? How much energy would you have? What sort of exercises would you do? How much would you weigh? How much would you sleep? And so on. And these are not things you can leave to chance. Look at around us. We have 60% of Americans are obese because they just left out this health and fitness thing, just left it to chance and gave no thought about how fit and healthy and high energy they wanted to be sometime in the future. Once you decide that, then you look at every single thing you put into your mouth and you say, does this help or hurt? And if it doesn't help, don't do it. And the fourth area has to do with financial freedom, financial independence. Here's something that people don't realize, is the purpose of working is to reach the point where you never have to work again. Now they call it retirement or backing off or anything else, but we call it financial freedom. It's to have enough money so that you only work by choice. Now probably most people who are continuing to work today do it because they love to work. It keeps them alive and alert and happy and fully involved. They try to retire and after a couple of months they say, geez, this sucks, and they go back to work again. And that's what will happen to you. But you want the choice of being able to back off. So what we teach in our courses and our programs is what we call the number. And what is your number? What is the amount that you're going to have so that you can stop working for the rest of your life? And it's very easy to determine, because what we say is imagine that you're going to live 20 years after retirement. Some more, some less, but that's a good goal. Then you say, all right, how much money will I need to live for 20 years and never worry about money? And the simple way that you determine that is, how much would I need today to live for 1 month without working? If my income was cut off, what are my monthly expenses? Food, travel, utilities, car, insurance, home, rent, mortgage, everything. Write it all down and work out. Most people, by the way, don't know how much their monthly expenses are. And anybody who's being taught to get their finances under control, the first thing they do is say, all right, how much are you spending each month? And what are you spending it on? It's really important. So do that. And so let's say it comes out to $5,000 a month. That means you need $5,000 to not work for a month, and times 12, you need $60,000 to take a year off. And times 20 years, you'd need $1.2 million to retire and never worry about money again for the rest of your life. Now, then you say, all right, that's my long-term goal. I want to achieve this, and forget all this nonsense about winning the lottery or developing a killer app or something like that. It takes an average person about 22 years to become a millionaire after they've decided to become a millionaire. Then you work all the way back to the present, and you begin to save 10, 15% of your income every year from now until the key point. And if you'll do that, you'll be absolutely guaranteed of achieving financial independence. And if you don't, you're going to be amongst the 68% of adults today who reach retirement with less than $40,000 saved up for the rest of their lives. People are continuing to work because they don't have any money because they didn't start early enough. I've asked many people, even wealthy people, I said, what is the biggest regret of your life? And the biggest regret is I didn't start early enough. Financially, I didn't start early enough. I didn't think about it till I was in my 50s, and suddenly, like an avalanche, it showered down on me that I'm running against time and I can't stop working. So determine your number, and you and your spouse should know exactly what the number is, and then write it down as a goal. Determine where you are today in terms of your net worth. Draw a line to where you want to be, where you can retire, and then determine how many years you have to get there and how much you're going to have to save and invest each year, and then start with day one. And this methodology is life transforming. Change your whole life. It'll make you financially independent. It'll make you feel terrific about yourself all the time you're doing it.
Thanks, Brian. Such great tactical, strategic information. And now I'm going to pass it back to Brian to talk a little bit about that special offer that we teased earlier. Brian, back to you.
Thank you, Elisa. So here's a question. Are you ready to stop procrastinating and take complete control of your time and your life? Are you ready to make real positive change and live your most productive life ever? If so, and if you found value in what we've discussed today, then I have an announcement you will find very exciting. I want to introduce you to my brand new time management training and certification course. Now, I've been studying and teaching and refining my approach to time management for more than 20 years. And my best-selling book on the subject, Eat That Frog, has sold over 5 million copies worldwide and been translated into 44 languages. And that's precisely why I created this course. By using timeless lessons from Eat That Frog, in addition to more than 30 completely new concepts and workbooks for you to complete as you progress, I assembled the essential time management and productivity certification course in the world today. In 12 lessons, you'll learn how to move from the initial stages of visualization and goal setting by using tactical strategies and real-life exercises, culminating in course certification and an official completion certificate and a badge to add to your social profiles. You will walk away from this course with a complete understanding of how to tackle each day, each week, and each year in the most time-efficient and most productive way possible. So think for a moment on that idea and ask yourself, at this very moment, are you able to identify your most important task every moment and execute it quickly and efficiently? And a secondary question, are you as successful in your life as you want to be? Are you making as much money as you want to make? If your answer to either of those questions is no, or I'm not sure, then you must realize this. The ability to concentrate single-mindedly on your most important task, to do it well, and to finish it completely is the key to great success, achievement, respect, status, promotion, and happiness in life. This key insight is the heart and core of this course. So, in my brand new time management course, you will learn how to prioritize your tasks so that you spend the majority of your time on those tasks that will be most impactful to your life. My goal for you throughout this course is to learn and practice how to accomplish these key tasks more efficiently and effectively than you ever thought possible, all with the goal of ultimately bringing you more success and happiness in every part of your life. Now, this course has been structured in a way to guide you through 12 lessons in a modular approach. Every idea in this program is focused on increasing your overall levels of productivity, performance, output, and income, and on making you more valuable in whatever you do. Each lesson will contain a series of video lessons with content from my best-selling novel, Eat That Frog, plus exercises that have never been seen before. I've also included audio files and a full transcription of each video to help you understand these lessons in the way that works best for you. Each lesson also features exclusive content. You'll learn about the habits of the world's most successful people, the science of positive focus in time management, and how to identify your individual weaknesses, and so much more. And of course, each lesson will contain assignments to help you internalize and practice what you've learned. These assignment worksheets will be accessible at any time throughout the course and will assist you in structuring and prioritizing your time throughout the course and for years and years to come. Now, what's unique about this training program is that it's a true certification course. That's because I want you to fully absorb these lessons and be able to call yourself a certified time management and productivity master by the end of the course. When you finish each lesson, you'll be required to complete a short 3 to 5 question quiz before progressing to the next lesson to ensure that you've absorbed the material and are prepared to move on. These lessons are cumulative, and in order to ensure that by course end you are truly certified, it's imperative that you complete these quizzes to the best of your knowledge, and we will show you how in the course of the program. At the conclusion of the course, there will be an in-depth certification quiz to complete before receiving your master certification. By completing the 12-lesson course and passing this final certification quiz, you will truly be able to say that you are a time management master, and you'll receive a certificate and virtual badge to share on all your social profiles to prove it. In today's professional world, there are few skills more valuable to managers and recruiters than time management. By adding this certification to your resume, you will boost your hiring potential and company value to an incredible degree. As an added bonus, by purchasing this course, you'll be able to join my private Facebook group, where I'll be holding live Q&A sessions every month or so to answer your questions as you progress through the course. You can also use this group to engage with your fellow colleagues and share your questions and successes. And now, to reveal the most exciting part about this course. The value of the lessons, worksheets, and certifications you'll receive in this course would normally cost you well over $1,000. Not to mention, by purchasing and joining my private Facebook group, you'll have a direct line to me to ask me your most pressing time management questions and to chat with me personally in live Q&A sessions. I can't express enough how much value you'll receive by purchasing this course today. Don't procrastinate. And if you're really struggling with making the decision, then you definitely need the procrastination lessons in my course. They can change your life alone. So now, before you embark on your journey to power productivity, I want to leave you with this. You need 3 key qualities to develop the habits of focus and concentration, which are all learnable. And they are decision, discipline, and determination. First, make a decision to develop the habit of task completion. Second, discipline yourself to practice the principles you're about to learn over and over until they become automatic. And third, back everything you do with determination until the habit is locked in and becomes a permanent part of your personality. Armed with these qualities and the lessons in this course, your ability to learn and develop new skills and new habits is virtually limitless. So I look forward to welcoming you aboard and receiving your story of success and achievement when you take advantage of this incredible opportunity to transform your time management skills and, more importantly, to transform your life. This is what happened to me and transformed my life, and has happened for thousands, even hundreds of thousands of my followers over the years all over the world. And it can happen to you. Are you ready to stop procrastinating and to take more control of your time and your life? The choice is yours.
That's all the time we have for today, so make sure that you take action today and take advantage of the amazing offer that Brian just talked about. Again, I'm Alyssa. This is the one and only Brian Tracy. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure to be with you.